I am so excited to be here. This is the first one and only, not one and only, the first live Mastering Your Monday, Monday Mastery Moments with Michelle, live here on Facebook. So I'll be doing this every first Monday of the month. I will be going live to talk to you, to hear your serious concerns, and actually just do some interaction with you so we can have that honest conversation. I'll be going live, like I said, the first Monday of every month, and then we'll still be having our Monday Mastery Moments, but those will be pre-recorded tapes the other 3 of the month. So I just wanted to be upfront with you. This is when we'll be live. This is the first one. And I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. So feel free to share if there's someone you think would like to talk about. Okay, I'm getting ready to say the dirty word: self-control and self-management. And you're probably saying, what is self-management? But we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about the seriousness of, you know, how we start all of these things the new year. We're going to eat right. We're going to exercise. But that's not the only thing we need self-control. We're going to treat people better. We're going to do more in the community. We're going to spend more time with our family. These are all commitments. And to honor these commitments, to do these things, we have to have self-control. Well, we're going to talk about, because everyone does not have great self-control. Are you serious? Exactly. Everyone does not have that great self-control. So, and hopefully I can see your comments if you comment. I'll try to catch up and take care of that. But so this is hard. I've never done this live where I'm taking care of this side and this side at the same time. So this is really cool. I'm so excited. Again, you're with Michelle O'Neill with Monday Mastery Moments with Michelle, live here. And again, we're going to talk about, what do you do? How do you win when your toughest opponent is you? What do you do? So what do I mean by that? A lot of times there are outside sources or outside reasons, things that are beyond our control. But the thing is, those things that we're dealing with a lot of times are within our control, are things we can handle, but there's a certain way that we can do that. And it's called self-management. So one famous theologian says, and let me read this, get it right. He says, I don't really understand myself, for I want to do what is right, but I don't do it. Instead, I do what I hate. Well, how many of you have felt that way? That no matter what it is, you have in your mind these things that you want to do. You know how you want to how to carry yourself. You know what it is, what you want to do. You have all these great intentions, but what happens? Well, it just doesn't happen. You feel like you have no willpower, you have no self-control, you can't get things done right. If I look like I'm all over the place, it's because I'm checking, making sure everything works. But so that's what we're going to talk about. And the thing about that is, everyone can't master the art of self-control, but we all can practice what I call self-management. And we're going to talk about that to accomplish the end game. So we can use self-management to accomplish what it is that we really want to accomplish. So that's why I think it's so important that you be here tonight to see if there's something, or I know there is something that you can take away that you could actually start using tonight. So the difference between self-control and self-management is what we're going to talk about. A lot of times, things that keeps us from having self-control is sometimes it's mental illness. Sometimes without the right medication, without the right things in place, we can't control ourselves. We just don't have that ability. Something's just not clicking in the brain. It's not working for us. So sometimes there's a mental illness. Sometimes there's the lack of courage. So what do I mean by lack of courage? Is that in order to do that thing that you really want to do, it's going to take courage. And that's going to take you stepping outside of your box. That's going to take you stepping into the fear and walking through the fear. And sometimes the desire to do that just isn't strong enough for us to step out there. So then we have no control there because the will to do it isn't strong enough. And then, so that's that lack of mental strength. It's like, you ever hear that saying, when the pain to change is greater than the pain to remain the same? That's the only time, that's when we're going to make that change. And then there's just pure selfishness. So it's like you want what you want. Simple as that. You want what you want. And so instead of making the changes that you need to make to have that self-control, you decide that, hey, it's not worth it. So first of all, one of the things is with self-management is you have to decide what it is you really want. Is it important in the first place? So what is self-management? Self-management, one of the ways that we do self-management is remove the temptations. Perfect. So what am I talking about? So for me, food is a biggie. Even though I don't look large or whatever, sometimes you don't have to be large to have issues with food. So my thing is sugar. I don't have sugar in my home. I don't like keeping sugar in my home because I know that that is a weak point. One of the things that's hard for me to deal with is potato chips. So I choose to not have bags of potato chips in my home. And a lot of times I allow myself maybe one or two if someone brings them in. If my husband wants them, then we have a bag, but I don't go looking for the potato chips. And if someone brings them out, then maybe I'll have one or two. So it's removing the temptation, knowing the things that are your triggers or the things that are your irritants. If you know what they are, then you know to stay away from them. Especially your irritants. If there's someone at work, okay. If there's someone at work and every time you're around them, they're going to say something to irritate you. Well, one of the first things you do is you stay as far away from them as possible. And sometimes this isn't possible. So you limit your time with them. You limit how long you're with them. You limit what you say to them. So you put these limits in place so that you're not triggered or you don't have those irritants, that you can allay those irritants. And then sometimes they're the triggers. Like for me, like we were talking about potato chips or starch. I know those are my triggers. So if I go to a restaurant or I go out to eat, very rarely will I choose the bread or things like that. Most of the time, I'll try to stick with the vegetables and the meat because I know once I start eating starch, oh my gosh, I can't stop. It's something about that, what is it? Rice. So if I go to a Chinese restaurant, rice is not one of the first things I get. So rice or pasta. I don't go to Olive Garden because I know, or if I go to Olive Garden, I always get the soup and the salad. So that's self-management, is when you know what your triggers are, when you know what your irritants are, and you put things in place or you take the actions to keep you from falling into that pit, so that you may not have the self-control to stop yourself once it starts, but you do have the ability to put self-management in place. So when it does happen, you're ready to handle it. Does that make sense? Are you tracking with me? Do you understand what I'm saying? The difference between self-control and self-management, and why a lot of times it's hard to just deal with the self-control, but we can deal with self-management. So another way of dealing with self-management is just dealing with things like, hey, Marcia, yes, that is true. So another way of dealing with it is to guard your mind. So for me, movies is a big thing. And I know that when I watch different movies, they stay with me a long time. I take them to bed with me. I wake up with them the next morning. And these things are just in my spirit. So I know that with certain movies, I have to guard my mind if I want to feel a certain way the next day. So uh, even though you don't have the self control, if you don't deal with that type of movie, so I know there's only certain types of movies that I will watch, or certain types of movies that even if other people go with me, I have to find out ahead of time what type of movie it is. So guard your mind. Decide what kind of music you're going to take in. Decide if a certain music makes you feel a certain way, and that's not the right atmosphere to feel that way, or you're going to lose control, then maybe that's not the thing for you at that time, if you can't exercise that control. So what are some of self management best practices? Well, the first thing is determine you want to change what you want to change. So what I mean by that is be specific. What exactly is it that you want to change? What exactly is it that is different, and you know that you want to make that particular change? And you need to be very specific, because then you know what to put in place. Hey, Jill, how you doing? You'll know exactly what things to put in place and evaluate the consequences of remaining the same. So a lot of times we're like, I can deal with it. So if you feel you can deal with it and you can keep going on for a while, being the same way, then why change? So it really has to be something that you really desire to do, and really think hard of the consequences. What are the consequences if you don't change? And what does it look like when you do change, if you make that change? Exercise. Perfect example. So if I don't exercise, what are things that's going to happen? Okay, my muscle stamina gets worse. I no longer have elongated muscles. I don't have the stamina to. My breathing is worse. So these are, as you get older, not exercising really affects your body. So you have to determine, okay, am I okay with that? Is it okay as I get older that I can't breathe, or can't walk as far, or I can't walk up the stairs, or can't play with my grandkids, or can't go hiking with my friends, or can't go roller skating with my friends? Is that what I want my life to look like? Is that what I want? Or you say, okay, what happens if I do exercise? I'll feel better. I'll have more energy. This is starting to sound good. And so that's what I mean by evaluating the consequences, both the good and the bad. Because a lot of times when you do this, it kind of helps you make that decision if you really want to make that change. And then if you want to make a change, here's a perfect example. Okay, say I want to exercise, but I don't have time to go to the gym. So how do I do self-management? Here's self-management. Well, now every time I go somewhere, I won't park as close to the door, and that'll make me take extra steps. I'll wear my Fitbit so I can track that I do at least 5,000 steps a day. Okay, I don't take the stairs. I don't take the elevators. I will always take the stairs, even if it's 5 flights of stairs. It may take me a little while to get there, a little longer, but those are the things that you do, the self-management things, to make sure that you get your exercise in. Simple as that. Does that take hard control? No. And it's something that you can manage to do to start getting you on that track. And then you start adding things that, oh, well, that was good. I guess I'll start riding a bike once a day, or I take a walk, a half an hour walk every evening. And then you start loving the benefits of doing those things. So the thing is, choose a method of management that is challenging but doable. Simple as that. You want to challenge yourself. You want to push yourself outside of your limit and the things that you normally do, but you want to do it in a way that that you're still going to do it. You don't want to make it too hard. So remember the example that I used about parking a little further away. Okay, now if I parked all the way at the end of the parking lot and it's raining, oh, girlfriend's not going to do that. So that doesn't work for me. So, okay, but if I park halfway through, if I got to run into the place, I'll run into the place. Hey, I'll even take that sprint, and that's fine. So you have to do things that are doable for you, things that you are willing to put in place. Things about, okay, I don't want anyone to come in my office anymore while I'm working. So to manage that, I will close my door and I will let everyone know that when my door is closed. So these are things that you put in place. Um, the thing is, everybody can't go cold turkey. And so a lot of times it's best to do that weaning. And that way you're more inclined to stay with these things that you put in place, these self management tactics that you put in place. So why? Why do we want to do self management? Better for relationships with yourself and your others. When you put these self management things, girlfriend, they're really boundaries. Well, anyway, when you put these things in place, it's really good about building better relationships with others. You're happier, and by being happier, you treat them better. When you feel better, you treat them better. So these are just things that create better relationships with yourself and with others. You alleviate issues before they arise. So let's go back to that person in the office, right? You know that every time you're around there, they irritate you. So if you eliminate your time with them to short spurts, or you're not dealing with them as often, or you're putting things in place to never be alone with them, or whatever it is, then you can't say it, alleviate those issues before they rise. So that's another way that we're doing it. And then you're courting success. Girlfriend, when you put this stuff and you start seeing that, I've gotten this far and now I'm going to go this far, and you start seeing the progress, can't talk tonight, progress that you made. When you start seeing how well you're doing, when you start seeing that, then you start seeing the success that you're having, and you'll do more of it. Nothing like that. So now, the thing is, I hope that by just telling you some of the things today, you can think of a few areas in your life and tell me, is there anything in your life that you want to change? Anything there that you're thinking, I can put some things in place to help me better do this. I would love to hear what it is. And by the way, if you're watching this on the replay, please put #replay so I know you're on the replay. And I want to make sure that I comment with your comments. Now, I may miss some of them now, but I would love to hear what it is that you think that you can put in place right now. The one or two areas that some of the things that you can start putting self-management things into place, some better practices in place, and what those are. I'd love to hear what they are. And so I want to tell you something before I go. We were talking about food, and food is really, really hard for me. If I could, I'd eat all the time. If I had the best health, I would be eating all the time because I love food. Simple as that. I love food. I love ice cream. Take me to Cold Stone and I'm in heaven. But because I know that those things also give me health issues, like I'm lactose intolerant. I can't eat gluten that much. I'm gluten sensitive and all these things. And then the effects that they have on my body. So remember, we were talking about determine what your consequences are to remain the same. I love bread, but that wheat and what it does to my body makes me make a different decision. That ice cream and what it does to my body makes me choose very gingerly when I'm going to have that ice cream. The things that sugar does to my body. So I've had to make those health changes, those lifestyle changes, and I've put the things in place to make it easier for me to manage those changes. It's always easier to manage. And then by managing, you have that self control. Does that make sense to you? So, having food, having those issues uh, have made me make the choices that I need to make a difference in my life. So, one of the things to help you understand this better is if you get Mastering Your Monday, my book, if you get the book, one of the things you'll see is chapter 7, You Are What You Eat. All that chapter are a lot of great self management help and things that you can do to, if food is an issue of what you eat, understanding what you eat, why you eat it, how you eat it. Those are great self management tools. And at the end of the chapter, there are actually exercises you can do to help you better self management. So I hope this has helped you today. I really enjoyed being on here with you. Um, Great time. Thank you, Marcia. I'm glad that that makes sense. I'm glad that hopefully there's something you can take away tonight with this. So listen, I hope to see you on our next Monday Mastery Moments. Not necessarily just the live one, but everyone every week on the non-live Mondays at 11:07. I post here and on LinkedIn. So don't miss it. Our Monday Mastery Live. You can catch me also replays on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and new episodes every Monday. But I'd love to hear from you what it is that you want to talk about, what conversations you want to have to make your life better, to create the balance and control that you crave in your life. I am here to help you. Thank you. So pick up your next Mastering Your Monday book on Monday. I'm at masteringyourmonday.com, MYM book. Whoo, got too many M's in there. So again, thank you for being here tonight. I have so enjoyed that you have taken the time out of your day to be here. Thank you, Jill, for being here. Thank you, Marcia, for being here. And anyone else that I missed, in the meantime, take care. See you next time.